So before we get started, I want to go over a few things. One, if you have tried to seed an area before with not good results, you might have a soil issue. I recommend doing a soil test. You can pick one up right here. This is what I recommend. But if you have seeded an area and you just cannot seem to get the seed to take, definitely check your soil. Also, just make sure you're following these steps. Very important that you follow these steps to get good results. And then at the end, you have to water. I'm just gonna say that up front. If you're not willing to water, seeding in the spring will help because you get a lot more rain in the spring, but you have to water. You have to keep the seed wet or it will not grow. So with that, let's get into the first step. That is roughing up the soil. So what we're doing here, this is a cultivator, works fantastic for bare spots. Highly recommend picking one of these up. If you have to seed an entire yard, get something like the Sun Joe here that I recommend, use a power rake. But this right here for bare spots is a game changer, or a lifesaver, backsaver, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. But all we're doing here is we are just going through and breaking up the top layer of the soil with this thing, and that is just going to create a fantastic seed bed for our seed to get into. Cannot grow grass on compacted hard soil by just throwing grass seed over top of it. That won't work. Second step, spread your grass seed all over the area that you want the grass to grow, obviously. So for this little strip, or for most bare spots, we're just gonna give it a little hand job. But if you have bigger areas, maybe you wanna use a push spreader, or you wanna use a little handheld spreader, that works too. But for this, hand job it, we're good to go. So when I say you don't want to put the grass too thick, you don't want it piled on top of each other. You just want a nice, even consistency throughout, because each of the grass seeds is going to grow and grow multiple grass blades off of it. And this is Kentucky bluegrass, so it will spread. So you don't want to put it too thick. This right here, this was probably from one Kentucky bluegrass seed right there. So it'll get thick. Next step, we're gonna cover it with peat moss. You could use compost, you could use more topsoil. Some people use sand. I like using peat moss because it helps hold the moisture in. And when it's dry or when it's drying, it changes color, so you know when to water again. Pretty sweet. Putting the peat moss down is by far the messiest part of this job and probably the most labor intensive, but I do recommend if you're doing a big area, we don't really have any choice here, but if you're doing a bigger area, either buy or rent a peat moss roller. It makes everything way easier, makes it way less messy so you don't have junk all over you. Step 3, there's Doug. Say hi to Doug, thumbs up. On to the next step I recommend, and that is applying some goodies to this to help it grow. We are going to apply some liquids on here. I'm using Sanctuary 11-21-21, or you can use a starter fertilizer. I like using the Sanctuary. I like using it when I seed. I like using it anytime I spray my lawn. I use it multiple times throughout the season. It does a fantastic job. Helps with the grass rooting, helps with the overall plant health of the grass. Has a wetting agent inside of it that helps moisture get down into the soil. Also has beneficial bacteria, mycorrhizae, really good stuff for the soil. Just a fantastic product. Highly recommend it. And then anytime I seed, I like using this miso right here, same thing as tenacity. What this does, this is not going to affect our good grass, but it is going to help prevent weed seeds from popping up. So if you can prevent weed seeds from popping up, you don't have to fight them later. Highly recommend this right here. 1 scoop of Sanctuary per gallon, ½ teaspoon of miso per gallon. Mix them right together, spray them right on top of this. You'll be good to go. All right, so that is it. We got all the steps done. A recap, we've wrapped up the soil, we seeded, we covered it with a light top dressing of peat moss. We sprayed all of our goodies on there to help feed the soil, feed the grass seed, and prevent weed seeds from popping up. Now, the only thing left to do is wait. And, well, Now notice I'm not drowning the grass. It's not pooling up. I just put enough water on here just to keep it moist. So when it comes to watering, I recommend at least twice a day, morning and evening. You should be able to do that, hopefully. And if you have time, I know a lot of people work, but if you have time to do a third watering in the afternoon, that is going to give you even better results. Just a light watering, light coating, keep it moist. You're going to have good results. And speaking of results, let's